What's going on? We're live. I actually can't believe that we are prepared. What's going on?
Not much. How are you doing? How's life treating you?
Oh, life is treating me like a life. It's good.
It's a dog eat dog world out there, and you're
You know what? This
underwear?
is the theme of tonight, and my motto for life is pretty much that it could always be worse, and that's easy to say, but I feel like I live by that rule in every circumstance. And we're not just talking about tools, but we are talking about successes, mindset, and positivity, and speaking what you want into existence, self-proclaiming, stuff like that. So, see who we got in the chat. We got George Ordway, we got Paul W, your boy Ram, Cody Slavin. What we talking about, man? We're talking about we got some tools here. And this pouch, I had the longer one, and I traded it for work. I got a coworker that helps me out around the house pretty often, and I trade a lot of tools. I also give him a lot of cash, but we help each other out. And I had the longer one, but I didn't like it as much. It was almost too bulky. The thing with Tough Belt, man, is that their pouches can be pretty bulky. We got Robert Walton and Jack Lakazi. Kays. Haven't figured that out yet. What's going on, everybody? Lost in Smoke is here too. So if you haven't seen the 12-inch tote from Tough Belt, I can show you right here. Like that. You can see it fits a whole bunch of stuff, and even with this knife in the middle, this still goes over the knife.
What's up?
And you got room with your fingers. So it's pretty tall up there to where you could stack this thing pretty high. I've got an SDS in here right now. But if you ever want the SDS, you can switch this out for a couple of drill bit cases. Did you see that trigger discipline?
What's that?
I said, did you see that trigger discipline?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a hot word on Google.
You're going to find out real
We're
soon.
going to find out. Yeah. Dude, we got I was going to show you pictures. So the theme tonight is tools that you need on the job site, but also your mind, and not just your academics or your know-how or your planning, but having the right mindset, knowing what to expect, and knowing that the day is probably going to suck. You just got to get over it and do what you got to do. Whether you're in a negative 40-degree freezer or you're in 110-degree weather and you're laying down pipe in between two grids of rebar, and it's your job to be on the pan deck and mount boxes, and the post-tension crew just got there and they're laying post-tensions on top of the double-layered rebar to where you got to weave that stuff like a basket, whatever the situation is. So today I passed an inspection. I didn't physically pass it. I passed the house, and I was driving by it, and I'm looking at my iPad, and I'm following the dot, and I realized that I went too far. So no big deal. Just pop in reverse. Watch out for mailboxes. Look out for what's behind you. Except that there was a mailbox sticking out of the ground at like this angle, like this. So I'm backing up, and I'm like 2 feet away from the curb, man. And I'm backing up, and the car starts beeping at me. And I'm like, shut up, car. I'm nowhere next to the curb. We're good. And dude, all I hear is
So let me get this straight.
yeah.
Your vehicle alerted you that there was an obstacle coming up.
It did like one little beep. It was like, hey. And I was like, shut up. I'm driving. So $300 later, I called a PDR guy. So this is so you can see that You can see that crease there.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. And then you can see the crease there, and you can see all the side sweep.
Yeah, you can't buff that out.
And then that right there.
Like, didn't the
So-
sound of Twisted Metal alert you that there was an issue?
Yeah, but I called a guy on Craigslist, and he did a pretty good job on it, dude. I can't complain.
I'm just saying I'm with Joshua Wilson on this.
User error. Yeah. No, he did a pretty good job. So you can see right there. That's almost impossible to get out. But other than that, man, it looks pretty good.
You did a great job.
Yeah, he did. $300 later.
Reverse there.
He was he wanted 400, and I told him, I was like, "Hey, man, can you at least show up for 300 and let's talk about it?" So he agreed to do that, and I was like, "Dude, I think I spent 10 G's this last 2 months
Thank you, Jonathan.
ductwork, insulation, coil cleaning ductwork, $4,000 gallbladder surgery, $1,000 HIDA scan, $1,200 CT scan. We might be over 10 grand. I don't know. Plus all the stupid stuff that I buy, plus the mortgage. I think I've spent quite a bit, dude. It's been rough this last 2 months.
I feel that.
But just like what you asked me, you said you still got your 2 girls, and are you still breathing? So it's all good.
That's right. I'm the optimist of the group.
That's right. So
And yes, there is, Jack. There is music playing.
is it too loud, or is it let me see here. I got
George says, "Do you ever barter?" He does certain things on the side, but normally it's a cash exchange. BW's Electronic is here.
I try not to barter, man. The one request when I got my job, my boss said, "Hey, the only thing I ask is you don't do any electrical work in this city." And I can actually say that I have not done any electrical work in this city. That was the request. So I try not to barter, man. I missed like a year and a half of my baby's life working on a service truck. And it's not anything that I ever want to do. I was making a ton of money. And that's where I learned to sell with respect to electrical services, not other services that he was talking about. But you get good at explaining stuff. And what you looking at there? Thinking about saying something.
Oh, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah. What's going on, Brandon?
And Joshua,
Tools with emotion.
If I changed it to tools with emotion, it would be tools with emotional damage.
Yeah.
That's what it would be.
So no, I try not to barter. Have I traded some work? I'm trying to think. Have I ever traded work?
I know
Long time ago, I
got
did.
stuff for their work.
No one really wins when you trade work. When I first met my buddy, he was my neighbor, and that's where I learned plumbing, mechanical, walls, framing, some framing. Not enough to pass an inspection, but how to use a nail tool and cripple studs and king and jack studs, all that stuff. The basics, how to hang a door, things like that. One thing that I did, I wanted to learn how to build a computer. So instead of trying to look it up or figuring it out, I went to Fry's was a store. Fry's Electronics was here in Texas. And I went up to the guy and I said, "Hey man, I'll give you $300 if you build my computer." And he was like, "Man, we built them for $100." And I was like, "No, I want you to come to my house, and I want to watch you do it and you teach me. So just like with my neighbor that's a mechanic, you learn. That's how I've always learned. I've always paid people for the service, but also helped them at the same time.
Can you move your mic closer to your mouth?
My mic closer to my mouth. Is that better?
Well, I hate to tell you this, but the entire time you've been going, and maybe it's just me, I might be the only one that hears it, but you have a little bit of reverb.
Oh, let me see. I don't know. Dude, why are electricians on the job site so nasty? Garbage, soda bottles, lunch wraps, spit bottles, and crap everywhere, dude. Always the electricians.
Because they've got the GC guys to clean. The GC guys are just electricians, maids, and butlers.
And I don't know. We always picked up after ourselves, man. But we were a more expensive contractor. The contractor that I learned to work and do work for was known for really good pipe runs, really good symmetrical bends, and quality. So we always picked up after ourselves. Yeah, dude, I miss fries every day. You know what? I think I might miss Radio Shack more. But fries was cool. You don't miss Radio Shack?
Not a bit.
Dude, I miss Radio Shack. Where are the drywalls guys? Where are the drywall guys at? Yeah. Any drywall guys in here?
They're getting dusty right now.
So, yeah, let me show you this. Let me show you this tool tote here. I call it a tool tote.
FYE is the one that I missed. And then what was that? Circuit City back in the day was fun to go in.
Oh yeah, dude, Circuit City was good. And then like Ultimate Electronics bought them out or something, and maybe they moved in around the same time, and they sucked.
Yeah, the one that I miss a lot though is Toys R Us. I hear it's making a little bit of a comeback.
I wish, man. You could get anything at Toys R Us.
Yeah. I got a whole case of crabs at Toys R Us once.
We've seen this one. I finally figured out where to get this bag because I've had this bag for so long. I wasn't sure where I even got it because you can't buy this bag by itself. So this is the one that comes with the tool pouch and then the larger pouch, and then you get this with it. So you cannot buy this one by itself. And this is special because it's got 3 slots. 1, 2, 3 here. The other one just has 2. And it's more divided right here. And it's good for what it is because it's wider here, so you can put channel locks and stuff without them pushing up against your body and levels and things. So it's good in its own way. But I like this one for terminating because you've actually got the proper slots for everything you need. But surprisingly, I don't know if you can see it here, but there's actually how much slack do we have? Yeah, you got it right. You can see here with that.
Oh, the lock supply. Hey, your audio sucks again.
Yeah, I know. See where that's not the same height? How they went around? They got like in the middle.
Yeah.
They didn't keep the whole thing high. So that's like make or break for a tool bag. You can have a really nice tool bag, but then you can do something simple and keep the whole bottom the same height. And it ruins the whole thing. But you can actually fit what you need to in the shallow parts, and this handle will still go. But if this was sitting on top, it would be hitting this handle right here. So you got to appreciate the little things when they don't. They purposely go out of their way to make sure you got as much space as possible.
Yep.
I'm trying to see what my mic is doing.
I just want you to break into a song in constant sorrow from where, oh brother, where art thou?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
Oh, dude, that's my jam. All right. This one's got 2, so it's extra deep. 2 levels without pushing up against your body. Even this level can even go back here, and this still doesn't push back against you. You still got plenty of room. So it's hard to find a bag that you can just pop channel locks in and out of without trying to fight your own slots for space. You know what I mean? That's not often you can find something where you can just pop things in and out like that. Even this nut driver, the 7/16, just slips right in there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a 10 out of 10 for pipe for me. If you're on a scissor lift, this goes on your pouch, and then you take a regular tool bag or something, tie it around the rails of the lift, and then you got all your material right there.
Mm-hmm. What's the model number of the Tough Belt tool pouch?
Ooh, that is a good question. It's a 12-inch tote.
Hardbacks all around?
Yeah, it's solid. It's going to keep all your stuff safe. You don't have to worry about anything. It's bulky in its own way, but it's only 12 inches instead of 16.
Wow, only 12 inches.
Yeah. I showed Joshua Wilson this one the other day, but this was for $10 in Lowe's.
Yeah.
I like the shape on that. Sharpening pencils with it.
I see.
I have to find the model number of it. I don't exactly know. Yeah, all in all, it's pretty decent. I wouldn't mind having 2. You should put my foot up as a flash.
I mean, it does have LED accessories that you could put in there. I'm just gonna say that. So it could double.
I finally got my Olight thing set up here.
Cool.
So Olight's really cool because they got the a magnet. So
yeah,
you can see how strong it is. Haha, take that.
That was fierce.
Fiercely strong. I saw how strong it was.
Yeah, it almost picked up that flashlight before it let loose.
Yeah, it almost did. You're right.
Hey, there were a lot of hidden Easter eggs in that video, if you guys were paying attention.
That was a good video.
My wife laughed. That's kind of the goal.
Yeah.
Renegade Garage told me he spit out his coffee this morning when he watched it. So
that's pretty funny.
I was like, yeah.
So one of the things, man, one of the things that I did, I was never gonna let anything get me down. I don't know about you and what your mentality was, but my mentality was always keep pushing for what you want. And there was a certain level of cockiness on the job site that you had to have. And you can't do that without making sure that you're on your craft. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
once you finally really figure it out, there's a certain level of confidence that is fun to toy with, pretending like you're the crap. You know what I mean?
It's true.
And whether you think it or not, it doesn't matter because everyone else thinks it does. It's a psychological game. Most people know that now as toxic masculinity, but I just call it I'm trying to censor myself here. just like you described it. You know, you call somebody a name, call them out.
Yeah.
Ricky Perkins, he's so pissed off with an electrician so lazy they just lack the mental framing today. The GC bill, then back the time and labor, and tomorrow I swear I will throw a few spit bottle. Is it that bad, man? Is there that much stuff around? It's crazy.
Really, there shouldn't be. I can see.
They kind of made it a meme out of it, so it's like you gotta.
I mean, jacket's probably the only thing that I could think of that might be left behind. Maybe a few cast-offs, but it's really not that much.
I'd only see those pop up if it was a long video. I've forgotten it. Which one? The butt muffler?
Oh, no. Yeah, the butt muffler was a short that I did this morning.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. For too long, I've wanted to add comedy into this whole niche and just show people that none of this stuff is too awful serious. And dudes in this community, they tend to, well, just like what you're saying, they tend to puff out their chest, they overinflate themselves, they act with ego.
Yeah.
And that's why, I'm one of the only tool channels that when I make a mistake in a video, I'll make it a separate video so people can laugh. Because what do I care, right?
Yeah.
If someone's laughing, take your mind off of it. If you got to laugh at me, go ahead.
Somebody today was like, that's a barbell, not a dumbbell. And I was like, LMO, you're right. I'm the dumbbell.
That's right.
You know, what are you going to do, you know? Own it. Own your mistakes. If you're not owning your mistakes, you're not learning from them.
It's true. And like I see a lot of the so-called like bigger channels, and you make them, I make them all the time. But I see so many of the bigger channels out there, and all of their videos are very slick. They don't admit to making mistakes, and even when they have no clue what they're talking about, they make the video and act as though that is the only way. And I saw one pop up on Instagram today of a magnetic bit holder, which they redid the video, and I'm looking at it like, yeah, you're going to ask a bunch of fake contractors or people around the shop, hey, what is this? Do you know what this is? And they're going to act like they don't use it, or they don't know what it is. No, they just don't use it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
They don't use it, they don't need it.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think I smashed it with a hammer one day. I was like, I know what it is. It's a piece of crap.
Yeah. But they redid that video. They put it out again. Probably didn't do as well as they had hoped the first time. And it just didn't, I didn't think it was good the first time. I don't think it's good the second time. And I just scroll right by it.
Yeah, the difference with puffing your chest out, man, is have just a little bit of humility, you know? Own your mistakes and try to promote everyone else, you know, while you're doing it. I remember whenever I first learned how to bend pipes. So I was an E1 as an electrician. It was my third year. I was still in E1. I went from E1 to E3 and then E3 to E5. Mm-hmm. And then I stayed a journeyman. And the whole time begging for, you know, raise, whatever the thing was. But the school I was in was IEC, which is Independent Electrical Contractors. They find you they essentially own you. It's almost like a union. So they find you the job. They log your hours. They guarantee you $1 raise every 1,000 hours.
Wow.
You can start off. So I started off at 11. I think the minimum was like 10 at the school. And then every 1,000 hours so you're getting a raise every twice a year, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So everything's logged and you're supposed to like move up as you go. But my whole deal was I never stayed in the position where the regular flow of where everyone else would be. I always set myself apart. I always had the tools that I needed. I was always asked to work with certain people because I had all the tools. I had unique tools that even people that were there for 5 years didn't have because I wanted to learn. So my thought was, I'm going to get the tool to do that. That way I'm asked to do that task. So, I mean, I had battery powered SDS drills while everyone else was toting corded hammer drills,
Yeah.
And that's more or less how I kind of moved throughout the company. So I never really went the same path, and I skipped a lot of steps, but also got overlooked at the same time. And I made it to, as we were building a PlayStation and all kinds of stuff. It was a what do you call it? Like a town center for the city. And it was outside in like this garage area where they're going to put like chicken wire so birds couldn't fly in there and, get up in the rafters and all that. And before they were going to put all that in, we had to get all the pipe in. So we were running a whole bunch of EMT. And dude, I wish I still had some of the pictures because we were doing some crazy bends. I mean, it was so much fun. We were on halide block walls and then we're having to get up to beams and we're doing like this bend, and it was awesome. And I was doing like offsets with a kick and then a 90 and then kicking it to the beam, like all in one piece. Like the thing looked like a damn piece of flex, you know what I mean? And it was just a really, really fun experience. That was back in 2010.
Did you see what George sent?
I'm looking. Let me see. Tactics. I sent you an email with some details you can share if you want, but my contractor's project manager was looking in an 18-foot ceiling of a live building and was thrown out of it. Looking at an 18-foot ceiling off a live building and was thrown out of it? Like he got thrown out of the building?
I'm thinking like from the ceiling to the floor.
Yeah, he was looking down off a building. I don't know if I can show that. Can we?
Well, if there's blood, it'll get you more views.
Rodney, was your laptop not working on phone, so I won't be commenting much. What's up, Rodney? Yeah, man. So this guy, he was always calling me rookie, and he was right. I didn't really know what I was doing, but he was always like rookie, just egging me on constantly, and actually motivating me to want to do better, and talking trash about other people. That's what you do in construction. Talk trash about other people. And the person that's you're training, you're helping, you're building them up while you're doing it. It's like, oh, look what you're doing. Look what this guy's not doing, And he was a perfect teacher. And I was the same way whenever I started getting helpers. And it would be to the point where my helpers, we were doing the, I can say, we were building the SMU basketball stadium. We're redoing the stadium there. And we were doing like all kinds of different tasks. And I got there later in the job. They let me pick where I wanted to go once I finished the job that I was on. And they said, okay, whatever you want to do, go do that. So I just kind of was like floating in between different tasks. And anything that was like left undone or unfinished or whatever it was, I just jumped on it and just started doing it. So I was running at this electric room. Okay, this transformer doesn't have lugs. Order these lugs. Okay, let's go to this electric room, see what this one needs. Okay, pipe needs to be here. And the whole job site was just in shambles, man. I got there and they were like, okay, the good news is all the lights are installed. And I was like, okay, cool. And they're like, okay. But the bad news is that every light in this whole building has 0 to 10 voltage capabilities. And we haven't pulled any of that wire yet. And we've already passed our ceiling inspection and we've already put up all the tiles. And all the ceiling's done. And all the pipe is done. And all the wire is pulled. So I literally had to run building cable, 0 to 10 dimming wire, just riddle it throughout the whole building, everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point there was an exhaust fan in the basement that needed they needed to get some wire down to it, and it was going to be hard to make the contactor work. So I had the idea to run controls to a contactor and then use local power to energize it. That way you could tell the exhaust fan on the roof, the louvers to open when the exhaust fan turned on, things like that. So I was always thinking outside the box and getting things done. And it got to the point where it was like, hey, I'll trade you your helper for my 3, and it's like, you've had 2 years to train your 3 guys and you want to trade my 1 guy for your 3. Like, that was just the mentality out there. So if you've got helpers or you've got somebody that you see potential in, invest your time in there and make them your legacy.
Right. I agree with that.
And that's kind of a lost kind of thing nowadays, but
Wow.
Whether you believe it or not, man, you speak it into existence. You self-proclaim it, and you tell yourself every day with motivation that you're going to do something. There's nothing that you can't do. I've got ADHD. I'm a journeyman electrician. I'm a senior electrical inspector. I was 28 when I started electrical inspections. I'm 34 now. 34 now. I've been doing it for 6 years. I know the code book like the back of my hand, man, and I can pretty much go anywhere. I've got the certs for ICCs. I'm completely unstoppable, and I'm learning something new every day, and owning it when I don't know something. Yeah, started from the bottom. Now we're here. Yeah, and it sounds cocky to say all that, but at the same time, it's like, dude, if you put your mind to something, I mean, I took all my tests with ADHD without medication.
That's true.
I didn't want it. I made sure that I got my last cert. The last cert that I got, I was sick with the C for the 3rd time. And I was stuck at home and I was watching BPI, Building Professional Institution. And it was continuing education. And I'm half asleep. I'm laying on the couch trying to watch this thing because I'm supposed to be in the office, but I couldn't go. And I'm like loopy with it, just kind of like not even able to pay attention, falling asleep halfway. And I'm doing my best to pay attention and I'm listening to it, but in and out. And I'm finishing the guy's sentences as he's saying, like, okay, we're going to look in this table and we're going to see that we got this percentage, I'm like, I got this. I'll go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So then the next day I figure, well, I can't go back to work because I might get somebody sick. So what am I going to do? I guess I'll start studying for this test, and I had never actually opened the book, but I've got a pretty good photographic memory when it comes to places and locations. So like I always tell people, my wife could mug me and I wouldn't be able to give an accurate description.
That's true.
But you want to ask me about somewhere in a house or something that I saw or whatever it was the other day, somebody was asking me about a receptacle that somebody was doing and whether or not they had the plug at the connecting end of the peninsula. So if this is your peninsula here, you would have a receptacle most likely in the middle because you got 6 feet of wall space. You'd have a plug on the connecting wall because it's a peninsula, so it's attached to the wall. So you have that one on the connecting wall. And then typically you'd have one on the other end of the counter. And he was asking me about this plug in the peninsula. And I was like, hey, man, do me a favor. Go and take a picture of the front of the house. And I'll tell you anything you want to know. But I've got no idea. And he's give me the address and the person's name. And I was like, what kind of dog do they have? Like, give me the good stuff. I don't know what you're talking about.
Carlos asked a couple of questions. He's like, have y'all ever done door-to-door business to physically give a potential customer a business card? I know both of us have.
Yeah.
I did it on probably a much bigger scale than you.
Yeah.
That's just not to toot my own horn or anything, but we both have. He wanted to know, like, how are we marketing ourselves, word of mouth or Google? And I'll tell him the same thing I would tell anyone. Excellence sells itself.
Yeah.
The minute people understand that you're very good at whatever you do, They will become your advocates. They will put out the word for you. Businesses will also put the word of mouth out for you. So the best way to grow a business is to be excellent first.
Yeah, just like that PDR guy. I showed you the picture on my phone. That sells itself. I show someone the before and after, and it's like he was done in less than an hour, and nobody knows that you wrecked your car at work. You know what I mean? Well, not that I know, but whatever. It's all good. But and confidence will sell it, because it's confidence with the backup. So someone would say, and sometimes it just depends the situation. Like, so this one lady, she was having these surges and power surges where when she turned on anything 240, the whole house, the lights would flicker, and it was like a rave going on in the house. And I was the third electrician to get there, and I knew what the problem was. She had lost a neutral from the utility transformer. But the company that you work for, they need you to sell. So you're trying to get the diagnostics, and you know it's wrong, but technically you can't warranty anything without diagnostics. So whatever that you do without diagnostics is just word of mouth, and you're essentially charging money to fix something that you cannot warranty with the company. You might fix it, but if something else happens, it's like, hey, I didn't check out the whole circuit. Doesn't matter how good of a job you did. If you don't check out the whole circuit, you're not in the best interest for the customer.
It's true. So
you got to look at it as, we're charging you $325 to do diagnostics, which sounds like a lot. It is a lot. It's a lot of money. You're $183 for the diagnostics. You're $100 for the service plan, and you're $60 minimum for the dispatch.
Yep.
And if you get the plan and diagnostics, it's all affordable. And if you just do diagnostics, you're $300. So you sell your service plan, you sell your warranty, which includes coming back to the house at a later date. We open up all the equipment. We open up a couple of receptacles, spot check for any issues that could potentially happen. You're making sure that the last tile guy that did the backsplash didn't wrap the copper the wrong direction whenever he tightened the plug, because they're tile guys, not electricians. You're doing all that stuff, and you're building value. And I'm building value while I'm telling you this. I'm telling you how to sell right now. And you're explaining what you're going to do and what the services include. And you just explain, like, hey, I know it sucks, it's expensive, but this is the way it is. And either you want me to do it because I'm the best person for the job and I know what I'm doing, I know I can fix it. And if I don't fix it, it's still under warranty.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you fix one plug here because it was backstabbed, chances are the one that was feeding it is also backstabbed. And you can say, you can fix that plug for $20. Okay, 108 usually per receptacle. You can fix that plug for $20. You can fix it for free. They still paid a dispatch fee. So when that other plug goes out, because as electricity goes through, it's going to go to the path that's not least resistance, but the weakest link in the chain. It's just going to burn up that next point. So if you're at the max of your circuit and you're backstabbed and receptacles are just frankly tired of being receptacles and the grabber things no longer want to be grabber things, if this one's tired of being a grabber thingy, the next receptacle is also going to start failing. So it doesn't matter that you fix this one's going to fail. You already know it's going to fail. You could do it for free. And when it fails, because it will, her receptacle is going to stop working. It's not going to be the one that you worked on. It's going to be the one before it. But you're not going to get called back because you didn't fix the whole problem. In that customer's eyes, you didn't fix the problem. So it doesn't matter how good of a job you did, what you charged them, whether you petted their dog or not. It doesn't matter, because you're not coming back to that house, and you lost your customer. And that's your name and your legacy as your reputation.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing with me, and I've been in sales in some form or another since I was about 14, 15 years old. My dad, for the summer, my job was to go out. He was in insurance. I was his intro guy. So he would have me run a neighborhood, knock on doors, see if the homeowner was there, give them a warm up while he was parking the car, getting his fat ass out, and then coming to see him. And he wasn't getting out of the air conditioned car for nothing. It's South Carolina, so it's 120 degrees in the summer. But that was my job, and he looked forward to the summers because he knew that he was going to make the bulk of his money in the summer when I was out there. And it's, I took my brother, my sister, but he wanted me with him because I had the personality that if you knocked on the door, I could hold you.
Right.
I was the one, and I would just tell him, I'm like, hey, my dad's parking the car. He wants to talk to you. Here's what he wants to talk to you about. But here's why you're going to want to take that call. This is why you're going to want to talk to him. And then I would lay out in probably a 2-minute little spiel the importance of insurance to him. And I always started it out the same way. Insurance protects you for 2 things: living too long and dying too young. Do you know when you're going to die? You know how long you're going to live. And that people would say no. And here's a 15-year-old kid they don't know for Madden. But it was the fact that I hit them with something that they didn't expect. They did not expect me to talk to them about insurance. And even like if you guys watch my channel now, and I know Carlos asked about how do we feel about online marketing or our online vendors. We are online vendors.
Yeah.
You guys come here to consume our content. We are selling you on us.
Right.
Just like an online vendor would. So I have no problem with it. But with sales of any type, and this goes for jobs of any type, the reason people come back is you, the stories you tell them. And that's all it is. So if you can paint, if you can paint a good story for someone in a video, in a sales presentation, anything, they're going to remember the story long after you.
Yeah.
And then when they talk about you and it's an exchange. You get stories from them. They get stories from you.
Yeah.
And
first impression seals the deal.
And never talk about yourself first. Always ask about them.
Yeah. We got Lee Monson here. What's up, man? Joshua Wilson. He was just surprised for work being done, not hiding anything. Let's be clear and concise. Yeah. They always said fill that value bucket, man. That's what they said. I worked for some really smart business owners that knew how to express what needed to be done, and they knew they were expensive. But man, it's expensive. It's expensive with just Google WordSense. I think those are AdSense, whatever it is. That's like $80 a click during non-peak hours. I mean, you're talking $132. I could go on anyone's website right now. Let's do it.
Well, ROI is crazy, but the thing is, when I was very young, I think one of the first sales jobs I ever had, I worked for Verizon. Before it was Verizon, it was called Frontier Cellular. And my first manager, she told me, if you invest in the people, they'll invest in you. So that's why you always talk about them first. You ask them questions about them first. And here's another secret. If they ask you a question, you answer it and you follow up with, why was that important to you? Or how does that impact your decision? Something like that. You always answer a question with a follow-up question, because then you control the conversation. Just saying.
Yeah, hang on. I'm looking something up, but I didn't want to. Okay. I want to make sure my city wasn't going to pop up.
He lives in BFE.
Yeah, BFE.
Actually, that's where I live.
Maybe it won't pop up. We'll see. Yeah, you live in BFE. All right, here we go.
Left blade, Ricky. Left blade. Lefties
All right.
do it better.
I don't even know what's going to pop up here. Well, that's good. All right, so electrical, right? Click this in here. All right, so we got Milestone Electric. We got Best Wire and Cable, and we got Compass, okay? This click right here, it's not really peak hours. What do you think that is? Probably $80 a click? Right there, boom. We just cost this company, if we click on this website here, we just cost this company just now at least $80. Just now, by clicking on that. Just like that. And we're not even going to go there. Don't worry, they're rich. But that's how easy it is to justify your marketing, because that click right there, whether or not you're going to get the service or not, you just cost that company that much money. They still have to insure their van. They got the insurance on them. They got to wrap the van. The whole thing is fully stocked. So you've almost got a whole supply house driving to your house, and that's overhead.
Yeah.
Then you got my labor. I'm driving the truck to get there. There's a lot more to it than just, I need you to install this light. It shouldn't be more than $100. It's going to cost $60 just to get to your house. It cost me $80 before I even met you.
Yeah.
Impact Nation had a live last night.
I didn't know.
Talking about his circular saws there. Yeah, Joshua Wilson, exactly. That's exactly right. So as far as, selling and all that, or whatever you're doing online or going door to door, it feels awkward. And it can be awkward if someone doesn't want you there and you're, read the room.
They don't want you there.
Yeah.
If they didn't call you, they don't want you there. If you're actually going in cold, they don't want you there. You're the Jehovah's Witnesses of the sales organization.
Yeah.
The difference is there's a reason why the Jehovah's Witnesses grow, whether you like them or not, because they're persistent. And it is a large numbers game. In insurance, we call it the law of large numbers, which is if a bunch of people were to croak all at once, the large numbers of the rest will absorb the cost so that the insurance company doesn't go out of business.
Right.
It's the same thing in sales. The more you do it, not only the easier does it get, but the more success you'll have. And it's just like YouTube. How many videos do you have on YouTube?
Probably 1,000 by now.
All right. I've put out 850, I want to say, or almost 850 in a 2-year period. It's and there's a reason why our channels grow the way they have grown. It took a long time, 7 months for me to hit 1,000.
10 or 11 for me, yeah.
10 or 11 for him. And it was when he began to crank out more and do more and just get better at it as he did it. Those are the things that really count. So
yeah, when you're consistent and you're putting out a consistent product that you generally want to watch, we can expect, you guys to be there. It all works. It's all a closed loop that builds confidence. It builds better videos. There's a lot more that goes into it than just Robert times 2. How are you both feeling? How are you doing?
I'm good.
You had your surgery last.
I did.
Yeah.
And I recovered quicker. The old man.
You did recover quicker.
The old man recovered quicker. Although I will say, in my defense, I have been through many surgeries in my lifetime. So one is not bad. And I will say this to anybody, and I just saw Joshua say you will beat any written estimate by 5%. That is,
Yeah.
I would not suggest that as a marketing strategy. And here's why. If you win on price, you lose on price. What you win on is service. If you can offer them a better service and a better quality, then you'll win. Even if they don't take you up on it the first time, when they're having it redone, they will. When is Souls going back in? I don't know yet. I'm going to find a different surgeon for the next few, but it is just what it is. But no, with sales, with anything, you don't want to be the cheap. Like, you guys don't want to take the cheapest girl home. No, none of us ever dreamed of taking
the cheapest girl. It sounds so bad.
none of us ever dreamed of taking Betty Lou Freebush, the 600-pound hairy monster, home to mom to meet her for our high school prom. We all wanted to date the high school cheerleader, the head cheerleader, the sexiest girl in school. Well, why the hell are you going out and introducing yourself as Betty Lou Freebush? If you know what you are, if you know who you are and what you got, you're worth more. They don't pay for you. They pay for your knowledge. They pay for your skill. It's never, it is, well, I won't say never, because some people do live on a budget, but it is almost never about price. It is always about you, the individual.
Yeah, and you got to stick with your number. You don't ever want to sell yourself short. If you're in the area and someone's there, sure, maybe throw them a bone, but man, your labor, your worth per hour, your time, whatever that's worth, that's what you got to get. Minimum.
How many surgeons have you met that say, I'll do that brain surgery for you for 5% less than the other guy?
Yeah. You're like, you gonna clean your instruments?
I like the dude on The Simpsons, the doctor, whatever, the Dr. Drake Gamora, no, not whatever his name is, the dude that put Homer's arm on his leg or whatever it was, like, Dr. Nick. Dr. Nick, that's his name.
Yeah. There you go.
You're going to have Dr. Nick operate on you?
Yeah. My last contractor had so many last payment fall throughs because the client never had the money. Yeah,
that's
man,
why
that's
you
rough.
Put the money in escrow. Money has to be in escrow before you do the job. The contractor pays for everything while the job is going on, and then once it's done and once it's closed, the money goes out of escrow and into his account. Or you
That's
can work
tricky too, man. So my buddy that I used to live next door to, that taught me pretty much everything that I know that's not electrical. We met. He came over to my house or something. We were having a party or something. And he said in passing that his electrician's dad had passed away and he had to take the money from the job and go up north and take care of business. And can I finish this job for him?
Oh.
And it was for a pizza place and it was can lights. And I was doing the Baylor right down the road, actually, in the same city, the hospital. So I was like, man, I can probably make that work, and that was our relationship, dude. We traded work until we didn't anymore. Like it's not a good, bartering is not a good way to go. It'd be different if the problem is, man, nothing's ever worth the same. I could have told that guy, hey, I'll do your electrical panel, for example. If you fix my car for $500, I'll do your panel. The panel is, $2,800. There's no good way to describe your worth versus someone else's worth. You're pretty much saying my time is worth equal to whatever this is doing, and you guys don't know anything about each other's craft.
Right.
So you can't possibly really barter without having something like, this tool bag is $60. Well, you work for 2 hours, $30 an hour. You know what I mean? To a buddy, it's different than trying to trade work, unless you're the person that's going to screw yourself out of the deal, which I'm usually willing to do when I do that. But yeah, bartering is never good when you're trying to trade work. But yeah, that guy came out here. So I started to tell you guys a little bit about the whole solar thing, and I started talking about I've been doing that formatted video with occupancy sensors was today. We moved in this house before we was really ready to live in. We got this house for like $100K under market. And I had a grocery list of things to do in escrow that had to be done. And they pulled it out. They said, you got $15K that has to be done to this house where you can own it. And my buddy wanted to buy my other house, which I took a tremendous amount of money off. I knew the foundation was completely jacked up. And some other things. And I flat out told him, I was like, dude, I'm taking like 30, 40K off of this house. You're my buddy. This is the guy that I trained from this was the guy that nobody wanted, that he was in the Connex carrying material, and I'd sneak him out with me and would teach him a couple of things, and then we'd sneak him back in the Connex when nobody was looking. So that's anytime you see a guy with the big hands, dude, that guy is like freaking linebacker, man. He's just a monster of a person. But that was that tie wrap video that we were doing, and he was tie wrapping my fingers. You saw that video with that? Mm-hmm. That was him. So anyway, I sold him my old house, and don't remember where I was going with that because of ADHD. But long story short, we had to get some of that house. So I was trying to get out of that house and get into this one, and we had to do like a whole grocery list of things to do. And it included every plumbing fixture had to be replaced. Every shut-off stop valve needed to be replaced. Every P-trap in the sink needed to be replaced. Every sink had to be replaced. Every tub had to be replaced. We had to replace all the flooring. We had to cover the floors everywhere in the whole house. There was no trim. There was potential mold. Every wall had to be painted. I wasn't going to paint the walls without texturing, so add that to the list. I mean, the list went on and on and on. And this guy was in my house for 2 weeks, day and night, like 24/7, just in here. And he said, hey, man, I need money to pay my guys. And I said, man, all that money's in escrow.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I'm working for you for 2 weeks straight. I need money. And I was like, you're right. I'll have to get you some money. Dude, it is almost impossible. Actually, it is impossible. It's impossible to get that money out of escrow into your name. Like, it goes to that contractor.
Yeah.
So what he was saying about make sure you do all your work in escrow, it's impossible to not get your money as a contractor. Once that's in escrow and you're the listed contractor on the escrow account, there's nothing you can do. Like, I knew the loans officer. I knew all the people at the mortgage place. I knew everybody by name, family, friends, wife babysat their kids, did not matter, could not do anything. And then I had Heck trying to get the money back. So I essentially gave him 10 grand. And then he had me in limbo for about a month.
Yeah.
And then finally I met him. And dude, once somebody gets 10 grand in their hand like that, you start spending it pretty quick. You got this job paying for this job, and this was doing this, and that was doing that. Dude, he came through though.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised. I did not expect.
And here's how the conversation with me would have gone.
Yeah.
All of your money is in an escrow account waiting for the job to be completed. Now, if you don't have the funds to complete the job, what you need to do is you need to go down to the Small Business Association or the bank yourself, take out a personal loan, and have that damn shit covered. because I ain't doing it. And I
Yeah.
don't care, buddy, or not. I pay you for the job. The money, my money is there. As a contractor, you're taking out. It's not just a simple transaction. This is not you're going to Walmart type of deal.
Yeah.
There has to be a mutual satisfaction. You made the price.
He actually endorsed the check, and then I signed my name below it, and they were like, "We still can't do this for you."
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because the job's not done. It's a contract. That's what an escrow is. It's a contract.
No. Once the job was done, he handed me the check, and I was like, I went to PLS, like an actual check cashing, shady, sketchy place. No offense to anyone that uses PLS. If you don't have a bank, whatever. Went to PLS, and his name was endorsed on it. They would not cash it.
That's right.
So I had to hand that man back the check for like 11 G's. I'd be like, oh man, I might never see this money again.
What he should have done is, instead of handing you an escrow check, he should have had the money deposited in his bank. First of all, he should have had the money to complete the job. By not having the money, it kind of, me as an individual.
He did me a huge favor. He was in the middle of a job.
Yeah, and then he left it and did.
He pulled off of that job that was a little bit more flexible. I asked the owner if he could come do mine, and
then he didn't have the money to complete the job he bid on.
No.
And then he came to you and said, "Hey, you're my friend. Pay me." And you said, "Okay, I'm a." It all worked
out. It all worked out.
Yeah, in the end, and 3 months later, and many phone calls and text messages, and your friend wasn't really your friend until you saw him face to face, or until he took money from somebody else to give to you so that you would quit hounding him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, that guy didn't really sell the value. How many jobs have you had him do since?
So that was it. He that was it. That was it.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Pros
still trade services between each other. We're talking about that right now. I don't recommend it.
No.
It's hard to you know your craft. So as easy as sheetrock might look, sheetrock's not something that everyone can do. There's an art to it. There's a patience to it. There's a lot of time. The material's cheap. There's a lot of time. If you want something smooth like a baby's butt, man, you're talking. Hi. What? You want to see me? Come here.
Now you get to see this business guy.
Say hi. Okay, you ready? Hello. There you go. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. No, there is an age-old adage that is as true today as it was the day it was.
Close the door, baby. Go.
And that is, no one will screw you over quicker than a friend.
Yeah.
You ever know when you start out a business? And I know we used to do this in insurance all the time. We always told people, call your friends, family, neighbors, the people that know you. And almost none of those people ever took out a policy from a new guy. And the reason for that is they don't trust you. They know too much about you.
Yeah.
Right? But a stranger that you meet at a gas pump and you start talking to him about the ding in his car. Hey, how much did that cost you? Those guys will stand there and listen to your next stories.
That's true.
So, no. Don't exchange services with someone unless she's hot. And then there's only one type of service to exchange.
One.
Just one. Don't try any others. It's not healthy.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of time in sheetrock. Learned that the hard way too, man. I had no idea. Even if you wanted something patched real quick, you got 20-minute mud. You're going to sand that, and then you're doing another layer. Then you're going to sand that. You're going to do another layer. How did I make something so cute? Yeah, I know, man.
Took after the mud.
Yeah.
I'm just
So-
saying, you know, I've made every mistake there is to make, and I'm going to invent a few on the way out. But every mistake you can make as a man, as a father, and as a business owner, I have made. And the first mistake I ever made was believing my friends would be there for me. You want to
Oh,
find
man.
out who they are? You want to find out who your real friends are? Be in a hard spot.
Yeah.
If it doesn't cost them a damn thing, they'll be there. But the minute it starts hitting their pocketbook, you're going to find out real quick.
Yeah.
And for me, Impact Nation and I were talking today, just briefly on Instagram. And he was like, hey, congrats on the 50K. And I'm like, dude, it's all great, but it doesn't mean a thing. Because if I stopped making videos tomorrow, no one would remember who I was.
There you go. That's for you.
Insurance is a legal racket. Go through life without it. And then on your darkest day, when you had a momentary lapse and you hurt somebody, find out how much insurance means.
Yeah. Just get sick like I was, man. I think about that insurance pretty hard.
Yeah.
For sure. I've been watching too many videos online.
Always.
The only friends that are truly here for you are the ones that have been in your shoes. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Man, that's probably why I inspect differently. I'm not gonna say I give everyone the benefit of the doubt, man, but I treat everyone with as much respect as what I would want to be treated with. I've had people that I was doing a job as a hotel. Hotels are the worst. I say that with respect. If any contractors are watching, but hotels. I say that because if you're gonna mess up on epic proportions, there's a bunch of families there that night, not just one family. You mess up a house, it'll burn down. We'll figure out what the problem was. A dog, 2 kids, husband and wife, dude, you mess up a hotel, that's a whole mess of people. That's
So there's an insurance for that. It's called E&O. Errors and omissions. And actually, for businesses, you can actually get types of insurance that will protect you from your own error. And unfortunately, most insurance guys know jack squat. When lending money, call it a gift. Don't give it if you need it. And if they need it more than you, talk to them about planning ahead.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter what you get in writing. I've never lent anybody anything and expected it back. And I've lent a lot of money. I've traded for things for collateral. I still have the collateral. I'm going to get the dude back the collateral with nothing in return.
Umbrella insurance. Umbrella insurance protects you when you are being sued, and it works as an override to other types of insurance. And there are certain things that you have to do before you can even get an umbrella policy. So you guys can ask me all you want.
These guys, I'm trying to think which hotel this was. Was it the same one that was?
Paris did it.
I've only had one hotel that went pretty smoothly, and man, it was pretty smooth. But they actually fired the contract, and another contractor came in place, and he was rocking it. But okay, no, I know which hotel it was. Okay, so there's these things called arc fault breakers, and they sense loose connections. They turn off the breaker, and essentially they work like this. Should I get the whiteboard?
What's that?
Should I
get the whiteboard? Get the whiteboard.
Get the whiteboard. Joshua, we're getting the whiteboard.
Most property casualty guys are that way, and it has nothing to do with them because they'd rather pay you because it's not their money. It doesn't hurt them a bit. I'm just saying, most of the time it's the insurance company itself because they do prefer not to pay. I can tell you that AmFam at one point in time had a written policy that every homeowner's insurance claim, unless caused by a natural disaster, was an automatic denial. I'll just sue the umbrella company. How good is their umbrella policy? Well, typically an umbrella policy starts out at $1 million. So I want to say that's about the minimum you can get. I sold tools to give a friend and his wife the money. Haven't heard from them since. Tells you who they like. With friends, you can also get add-ons they think should be free. That's true.
All right. Hang on.
Your boy Ram, I do the same thing. I have loaner tools. They're called Makita because I don't care if they ever come back. And they're no good anyway.
Come on. Okay.
Look at that. So, a Makita slam in the middle of this.
We got an arc fault breaker here. Okay. And this is going to be, I'm trying not to hang my beard over it. It looks trashy.
I mean, it is a raggedy ass beard.
It is. I wish I knew which troll was telling me that, dude. Much respect for letting me know.
I'm just saying, I've remembered it.
All right, so we have.
And they're the redheaded stepchild.
We have our manpower coming in. And essentially, what you have, this is like the device, if you will. This is inside the breaker. This is all contained, but this is pretty much what's going on. So if we have, we'll just do a simple light bulb. So we got the screw shell, and then we got the light bulb, and you got the neutral and the hot going there like this. So what happens is you got your supply, and then you got your return, which would be the neutral. So the current's going through. Let's say this light bulb is incandescent. It's got 1 amp here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can draw that better. Maybe we can't. 1 amp. Okay. We got 1 amp coming in. 1 amp. 1 amp, 1 amp, 1 amp, right? So going through this device, we started with 1 amp here and we ended with 1 amp. Okay?
Yeah. I'm listening.
What happens is, let's say that we were sharing neutrals, which commonly happens, but we weren't sharing breakers. So we have 2 different breakers. Well, we'll just draw this going wherever. That's the neutrals, okay? Hang on. We're going to make a neutral bar. There we go. So that's a neutral bar. That's a hot. We got another breaker here. Was feeding another light. Okay. And we shared this neutral. So we got our hot here, and then we shared our neutral here, like this. Multimeter, nice. What's going to happen is we got a complete circuit here because we have a neutral. So this light's going to work, but the problem is this light's also 1 amp. So we started with 1 amp here, coming on the hot, and then what happened was you dumped another amp from this light, because we have 1 amp here and 1 amp there. So now you got 2 amps coming in on your neutral. And it says, hey, wait a second. We started with 1 amp on this side. Now we got 2. So it's going to turn off the circuit.
Yeah.
That would be something that would cause a lot of nuisance tripping for like existing situations, like existing lights and stuff.
Yeah.
But the arc fault breakers pretty much, they trip based on arcs. So if you got like pulsing going on and you got flickering, you're going to be dropping your load and picking it back up. So essentially the same thing's happening to where it's just an inconsistent draw, and it knows that there's a problem, so it turns off the circuit. So those are now required because the industry sucks and people are greedy, and I actually don't think that they're that good. They work, but I don't know, man. There's a lot of rules that are terrible now.
How many of you guys saw the butt muffler?
The butt muffler, yeah. Oh, you got to draw the schematics.
I your boy Ram, believe he said those are the butt muffler schematics. Jamie True. I swear to
That's
God.
great. That's
That
great.
was spur of the moment, and I thought it was hilarious. How can I set up solar charge and run off of Flex and Milwaukee batteries? And how many would I need to be self-sustaining? It depends on your need.
It's going to get really tricky too, man, because you're going to have resistance going through. You're going to want to charge them evenly. You're going to have even amount of wire. You probably don't want no more than 4. And then in that case, you want really high. So that way you get probably 40 amps.
I would actually
410s.
I would tell them not to run it off Flex and Milwaukee batteries.
What would you run it off of?
If you want to save cost, lead battery.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I did. I've got...
And then an overcharge controller.
Yeah, but he's got so many flexes. He wants to do off a flex, so he's wondering how to do it. So anyway, these guys had to have these arc fault breakers installed, okay? And they didn't bid for any for the whole hotel. So it was news to them. So each arc fault breaker is $100. You got 20 per, let's just call it 10. Let's say we got 10 per unit, 30 units per floor on each side. So we got 60. Let's say we got 60 per floor times 4, 240 times 10. That's how many breakers they need. Times $100. That's how much money they all of a sudden gotta poof find. So needless to say, they weren't expecting to do these arc faults, and I wasn't expecting to be missing them. You doing the math on that?
Well, I'm doing the math on Brandon's question.
Oh, okay. So that bidder didn't get a Christmas bonus. Yeah, I don't think the whole company got a Christmas bonus, man. That's rough. Actually, I think the hotel owner ended up buying them because they weren't part of the bid, and he ended up doing it. It had to be done. So long story short, they also had some issues where you got to have 2 small appliance branch circuits because this was a it was only 24,000. You got 60 breakers.
Yeah.
Times 10.
Okay.
Times.
So 600.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
24.
No, more than 600. That was 6,000. 60.
60 times 10. You just add a 0 at the end. That's 600.
Right. Times $100.
Okay.
What is that? That's 6,000.
Yeah.
Times 4 floors. Oh, it is 24,000. Okay. Yeah, he's right. Yeah, Josh Wilson's right. So, cool. Yeah. Good job. You did it. Anyway, you got to have, since it's permanent provisions for cooking, it turns into a different classification where now this is treated like an actual kitchen. So if you got permanent provisions for cooking, you got to have 2 small appliance branch circuits. They can't be with any other circuit. You can't have lights on it. You got the dishwasher and disposal circuit. You got a separate circuit for the microwave. All that stuff's got to be on its own circuit. The dishwasher and disposal can be on its own. So we got all that stuff had to be separated. And then you still have the 240 volt cooking appliance. So all this stuff, yeah, come on guys. Yeah. So all this stuff had to be separated and then added into and all this. And I go back and they're struggling with it. And I'm telling what I need to do. And finally, like the 5th time there, they finally get it all figured out. Okay. So I'm like, I'm ready for the mock-up. And they do 4 in a row. And I go through and I'm checking all the GFCIs and everything's cool. I'm like, cool. Okay. We finally got it. do this to the rest of the units. Whenever you're ready for inspection, call me. So the next day, they call it in. So I'm thinking, damn, they must have worked all night. They got the whole floor done. I show up and they're like, well, we're just going to do four units today. And I was like, I mean, we can do that, but I at least want to do like 15 or 10 or something. I don't want to just do 4 every time I show up. You're never going to get done. Like I need like half of the floor or a quarter of the floor or something like that. So they're like, no, we just have 4 today. And I was like, well, you had 4 yesterday. I'll tell you what, you guys open up the first 4 that you did yesterday, and I want to see those. And they're like, well, we don't have the keys for that. We have these ready. Can you look at these 4? And I'm like, no, I'll tell you what, you open up all 8 of these doors and I'm going to inspect. And he's like, well, we've already passed the inspection for this one. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to leave then if you guys want to open the door. So finally, all of a sudden the key appears. They open it up. They pulled all the arc faults out and they're trying to leapfrog the breakers from unit to unit. They never planned on spending $24,000. They thought that I was going to I don't know what they were thinking, but I guess they thought that I wasn't going to check the other rooms. Like they were just going to do 4 at a time or something.
Yeah.
And the owner found out, dude. He looks at me and he's like, can you come back, Robert, a little bit later? And I was like, man, we're back in the office by 2:30. Don't really want to. No, I'm not coming back. I was like, why? And he's like, well, I'm going to fire these guys and I'm going to get some better contractors. And I was like, you can do that, but you're going to have to add the new guys to the permit. We already know these guys know what they're doing. You're not spending any more or any less money than you thought you were going to spend. It's all got to be done right. You know, I was like, look, it's a new slate. I understand why they did it. They don't have the money. There's no hard feelings here. Just know that when I come back, this is the way it's going to be. You know, and that's probably the perfect example of how I inspect.
Yeah.
Would be with every day's a new day. And, you know, I'm not keeping score for the most part. We're building this thing together. You know, any way that I can help. It's just a different outlook than other people have, for sure. I know.
It is.
So we got some questions here.
What's your average usage, Brandon? How many watts or kilowatts are you looking to use in a day? What's the size of your panel and how many do you have? Do you know the flow rate of the battery, how much amperage they're putting out? Or not the battery, but the actual panel themselves.
What's your question, Joshua? We're fixing to get off of here in about 10 minutes. At the most. At the minimum. Yeah.
Give me a raise and discharge rate. Yeah. Well, I need to know what type of. Yeah, I mean, technically, you don't have to run an optimizer or a microinverter. However, to do what you want to do, you're going to want to run one or the other.
Off of the solar?
5 kilowatts.
That's pretty big. That's a pretty big system.
Yeah, so
you're going to need more than
yeah, you're going to need at least 12 panels if you want to get 5K to run that through. So you're gonna do
set breaker, no neutral to the 240 volt pull motor, and it's not a plug-on neutral.
Yeah.
Pigtail to the neutral bus.
You're gonna need to use something like a
neutral.
Ooh. I want it to be self-sustaining.
I'm gonna get back to you on that, Joshua. I'm gonna get back to you on that.
To look at it, like you're talking at least 15 panels at 350 watts. You could probably get away with 12 if they're 400 watt panels. If you're looking for the crap from Harbor Freight, actually go to Green Tech and get your own. It'll be much cheaper and get you better. Then you're going to run MC4 connectors out of the back. You're going to daisy chain them, but because of how you're trying to, the batteries that you're going to use, that's an interesting one because I have to know what their intake rate is. Like how, I know rapid charge 12 amps, but you're going to be pushing out more than that if you go DC to DC. So you're going to need, you're actually going to need, you're going to need to run optimizers straight into the inverter. From the inverter, let it do the work for you. You're going to be looking at a company like Fronius or Solar Edge to do that. And then you're going to run the batteries through a midnight charge controller at a very low rate, because the charge rate on those, it'll literally take a regular solar panel seconds to charge a 10 amp. Well, maybe not seconds, but minutes.
Probably an hour.
Battery.
Yeah.
And because they're LiPo batteries, a 10 amp battery, you have to take into account the very limited amount of time that you'll have to charge those, which, I mean,
Brandon's going to email you and then call you.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more complicated than you think. If you're trying to run them off
generators on the load side with solar, you got to think about it, right? So we got our
whiteboard. You people are lucky. You're getting have a 10K generator. All right.
Okay.
Is it a Generac generator? Is Generac generators the only warranty batteries if they are Generac batteries? I know you already own it and you might not be worried about it, but that is a 48 volt forklift batteries.
We got the solar panels right here, and essentially they go down to the inverter. Okay.
Yep.
And then from there, now we are AC power, so we went to our panel.
Yep.
Okay. Or a combiner. Let's call this a combiner, okay? Because you're talking about you want to do generator. So here we have, let's say we got a 30 amp breaker here, 30 amp here. This is a common bus, and we got 30 amps on our generator, okay?
Yeah.
So our generator's here. We're going to do the motor symbol. Okay. There's our generator. And then the common bus is going to feed the main panel to the house or whatever. So you got 30 amps for your solar coming in to feed this, or you got whatever. And then also off of here, you got the meter. Because you're on the grid. This is not drawn exactly correctly, but essentially this is what you would do. Okay. This would be maybe another backfed breaker or capped or something. There's an interesting thing about blindside caps that I got to talk to you about, because apparently they're not listed for service. So probably not allowed to use blindside taps anymore. It's going to get interesting. They're not listed for service equipment. Never have been.
So then you're talking
the supply side connections, the ILSCO.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So anyway.
When did they make that change? This year? Last year?
So, or maybe someone discovered it. I don't really know, man. We're like the tip of the spear when it comes to like the newer codes.
Can we still vampire in?
Yeah, you can't vampire.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's terrible. All right, so when your generator runs or we create extra power, we put it back on the grid. And essentially this is a generator. The power company is a giant generator, okay?
It's true, yeah.
When you go off grid in a situation where you shut off your main, here, let's say that's your main, and we are no longer tied to the grid, your solar panels go back to your generator. It's not that simple anymore. You can't connect all this stuff like you think you can, because these are trying to feed. You see what I'm saying? You can't do what you're thinking, because then you got batteries here too, right? So then we got batteries off of this too. Sorry, we got batteries off the inverter.
Easy, yeah.
And then they're coming in, and then that's also dumping into here. So then you got multiple sources. You can't hook up a generator on the same common bus. So when I say the same common bus, you would have one. This would be the main to your main panel. That's a switch, right?
Yeah.
And then you got generator, solar, and batteries.
Yeah.
On the same common bus, everything feeding in there, because your generator is essentially your power. So the difference with this utility grid is we can never overload this. You can't. This thing is just an infinite amount of power, because what happens is the power that you excess from your solar doesn't actually make it back to the power grid. It feeds your neighbors. Because this line here from the power utility is 13.2, right? 13,200 volts, or 4160, 4,160 volts to get back to the power company. You're not going to feed the power company with 240 off your freaking solar. The voltage drop is too great. So what happens is your local solar actually, it supports the grid in a sense where it helps your neighbors out with utility. So instead of having multiple generators, or let's just say let's just call these transformers now. And then we got homes here and homes here and homes here. And then the demand was to have larger transformers to feed all that bank of houses.
Yeah.
The utility company actually ends up not needing such a high kVA transformer to feed the local area.
Sure.
So that's where your solar actually helps the grid, because it's helping the power company not have to generate as much power on this side. But this is all high voltage. This is all 10,000 volts.
Hold on, Skippy. He's talking about running off of a camper, having it not grid tied, but he wants to use his flex batteries as the battery bank, which, I mean, for me, to get a 5 kW system, that's 12 panels. One panel would be more than enough to charge a battery. I mean, just so what you would do is, once you get your array put up, once you run the optimizers, and you take it into the, you would actually tie them all through a combiner box before you get to the inverter. So you would tie your array to one bus. I'm just telling them how to do this.
Yeah, well,
then take it from that combiner box into the inverter, from the inverter into a charge controller, from the charge controller to the battery bank, where they're all connected in series, not in parallel. They have to be in series. Then you have to run it back into, because you've got to end the loop. You have to end the loop. So you're going to run it back into the other side of the inverter.
Right.
But if any of the batteries in that series goes bad, you're going to end up running the entire thing in parallel.
Yeah, it'll create a series parallel.
And then the overflow is going to hit each battery all at once. You're going to end up blowing the batteries.
And your panels, really, right?
Well, what you're going to end up doing is creating a fault within your inverter that's going to feed back into your panels, because it's going to want to get the heat out. So it's going to go back. It's going to try to backtrack through the panel.
Yeah.
I mean, the service has to go somewhere. Those
Right.
batteries are not designed to handle that type of load. They're
Right.
just
And you
not.
sure as heck don't want your generator on at the same time. You
No,
want to
and
isolate.
I forgot about the generator
Yeah. So
because you're going to run it to the generator from the inverter too. You know, you can't take it from
you'd have to
the
isolate
inverter
it.
to battery,
You'd
the battery
have to have
to
a
the
separate
generator. Yeah.
breaker with a Kirk key or something, so you can't turn them on at the
Well,
same time.
you're going to have another panel with a jackknife switch.
Yeah. That would stop one from turning on at the same time as the other one.
Yep. And you're going to have an auto kill switch before it hits the generator. So from the battery side,
it actually doubles the voltage when you go into parallel.
yeah,
Series will keep it the same voltage. You can double the amperage and be okay because that's just your capacity essentially, which is the goal.
yeah. You need to run them in. You need to run them in series. There's no question that you have to run them in series. The problem is if one of them goes bad in that series, it creates a parallel.
Right.
Because it's not recognizing it at all. Now the electricity is still going into all of the other batteries.
Right. It becomes like a kind of like a switch that's in the open position or off. Where now you can read voltage on your multimeter.
But the one that's not working is going to get double the voltage at that time. And these are just little AA batteries. You can call them whatever they want. But they're like AA batteries that are in there, or LiPo batteries, which the lithium power. Right. But when you double that voltage that's going into them, the circuitry that's in there that prevents it from just dumping the load all at once, which those batteries are also running. Well, those batteries are running series as well. But when you double the voltage that's going into those batteries, it's going to just short those out in essence, just to make it simple. It's going to short those out. Then that is going to go into the next battery at that same doubling rate. Right. To the next battery, to the next battery. It's just not it's not good.
It's kind of like the best way to think of something, either whatever you're trying to power is either a switch or a coil.
Yeah.
So in this case, with as a closed switch, you're going to read 0 volts because there's no difference. But if you got a short in your battery where it's not connected, you're essentially able to read a difference in the voltage across. That's your multimeter, the multimeter. So you're going to get 120 volts across that open switch. So when your battery opens up and you don't have a connection point from point to point, and you have a break, that's when you can read the difference in voltage.
Yeah.
That's why same thing happens with panels too.
And Richard, it goes from panel to combiner to overcharge controller to batteries to the inverter, so that you're not double inverting. Although you can run a double invert.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, like two different inverters and then combine them, not inverter and then invert the inverter. Okay. It was obvious.
Well, you can run the charge controller after the inverter to the batteries, but you're going to have to run an inverter off of that charge controller because the batteries charge in DC, not AC. And then you're going to have to run back into the inverter to have it converted back to AC off of the batteries. So you can do it. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do it, but you can do it. And I have seen plenty of folks do it. I just shake my head and laugh, but hey, whatever.
You know what I remember to do this time?
What?
Open up the freaking the control room.
Oh, yeah. But there you go. I wouldn't do it. That long explanation of I wouldn't do it. Not with those types of batteries. Get yourself some LED batteries if you know how to create a flow battery, where the more you need is just the amount of liquid you can house. You can do that. And it's relatively easy to make a flow battery. But that's up to you.
Nice.
That way, that is the way my system is. Richard, that's not good. Well, it's fine, but it's extra cost. Sorry.
It's all good.
So
Hang on. I'm going to add some
voltage
moderators while I'm here. I'm trying to see around this camera.
It's impossible to just have to buy a couple 100 amp hour 12 volt LiPo battery. It's not impossible. It's just everything could go kerplooey at once, and then you can't put out like lithium. They burn for a while.
Yeah, you almost need like a giant, like the thing you use to snuff the candles at. What's that called? A snuff.
Yeah, I know what you're. Yeah.
Yeah, you almost need like a helicopter with a giant pot big enough to like just get over the whole car nowadays, just to drop it on there.
Rodney, when is it worth going a single home to go solar? It's not. I would
depends
say
how you do it. I'd say it depends how you do it. This is my outlook
if
on
you
it.
oversize your need to allow for future increased usage, and you have a good quality, and the problem is the batteries. Grid tie is really the only way to make it work, and no battery backup. Grid tie is the only way to make it work. And then I would recommend having a secondary generator not tied to your solar array.
Yeah, and you got to make sure that you're 100% offset. Like you said, make sure you size it properly. Because what I did, I sized mine 70%, which was cool because whatever credits I didn't use in the winter, I stacked. Then I used them in the summer, and that contributed to my extra 30% because I have gas. So my 30% credits went stored, and then I used them in the summer, and that made 100. The problem is electricity prices went up. So now I'm no longer able to use the credits 1-to-1 like I was because the kilowatt cents per hour is up. And now I'm playing catch up on storing credits in the winter because there's literally nothing to store. So now I'm back to paying a bill in the summer. But at the end of the day, 70% of my house is accounted for. 70% of my electric bill is only ever going to cost me what my solar cost me for at least 30 years because that's all my warranty is good for.
Rodney, to run, so the solar is a scam. So the average house in the state of Missouri uses about 9.6 kW. That's the average size house. Now, even if you are like you go around, you unplug everything except for your refrigerator, your freezer. If you go around, you unplug everything and you make sure that nothing is on. I mean, literally nothing is on. You can probably get away with a 5 to 6 kW array. The average cost in the state of Missouri, which is, I know where you live, the average cost of a solar array in the state of Missouri is about $35,000 without battery backup. When you start adding in batteries and all that, 50 to 65 kW or $50 to $65,000 for a solar array is not uncommon. It's actually pretty lenient, depending on what type of battery that you're going with, and that's just the basics.
Yeah.
So, and then you think about that, it's typically a 12-year note, although you can do 15 now, I want to say, and I believe there are even some companies that are letting you do 25. But even at that, the cost of those, all that additional is going to be more than that $400. What you should concentrate on is improving the way your home works, improve your windows, improve your insulation, make sure that the drafting is not there. Those are going to be value adds to your home that are going to end up saving you money in the long run, because as soon as you start going solar, once it's paid off, it's time to replace.
Yeah, that's very true. You're going to save, if you do it right, you're going to save $80 a month. Okay. The $80 a month that you're going to save is, let's just call it 100. Let's say you save $1,200 a year. Okay. For 30 years. By the time you pay the interest in your solar, you've still broken even.
That's right.
It's really not a winner unless you it's just average billing. It's just average billing on steroids is what it is.
Well, I got
with a hidden cost. What I did though, and I'm going to tell you more about it because you guys have been liking the Solar Series thing. What I did, and I was talking to a lot of people that were getting Teslas and doing different things with the money. You can play with the finances, a little bit, to where when I bought my house, we were almost 7% interest, which is pretty high. But we were in a rush to get into it because we were 100K under market, so we locked in at 7%, which is super high. We went solar. We refinanced the solar because if you don't pay the solar in 2 years, because you get a tax credit of, let's say, $10,000, if you don't pay that $10,000 in 2 years, they balloon payment your ass. Yeah. And you go from $140 to $230 a month. So right now, my solar costs me $140 a month. So I've essentially got $300 of an electric bill covered for $140 a month.
Right.
It's pretty rare to do that. But I was very careful when I sized my solar, what upgrades I did. That's not the common outcome. So we refinanced. We took the money from the solar. We paid off other debts and stuff. So we were fixing to, we needed the money. So we kept the money. We refinanced down to 2.8, which that in itself is 100K on a house. My solar is a wash, essentially, because I refinanced. Yeah. And I wouldn't have refinanced unless I had to go on solar, because it made the house more attractive, because it's hard to repo solar once it's on your house. Once it's tied to the grid.
They end up putting a lien on your home.
Right, exactly.
And it's not even your contractor that puts a lien on your home. It's the distributor for the contractor.
Right.
They put the lien on your home because they don't care if your contractor does the work or not. If they don't get paid by the contractor, the end user is the one that ends up paying.
Yeah. So there's a huge incentive to get your loan, to say the least. And I was waiting for them to pick up the phone because everyone had been telling me what to do and what to expect and who's going to call and all this stuff. And I was just waiting for them to pick up the phone. And when he picked up the phone, I told him, I said, "Hey, man, you can tell me what you want." No, I didn't hook up the solar myself. There's too many incentives on the warranty. Emphasis on the warranty. That's the only way the solar is ever going to be worth it, is with the warranty, because obvious reasons.
And there's only one company that offers you a 25-25-25 wraparound, and it's GreenTech, CED GreenTech. You guys see me wear their hats. ADT, that's right, the home security people, they're in there, and they only do 15 and 20. So And then by the chances are that the contractor that you use to install it isn't going to be in business by the time something goes wrong.
That is
So-
absolutely true.
So that I mean, the world of solar is a mess. So 1/3 of every solar panel producer is new every single year, and by year
That's probably
3,
also accurate too, based on what I've seen. Yeah.
by year 3, they are being replaced. They're out of business.
Yeah.
With let's take the best microinverter out there is Enphase, has a 10% failure out of box. Fronius has a 25%. Solar Edge has a 25% failure
25
rate
or
out of
30.
box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've already had mine fixed
Out
twice.
of box.
Yep. Mine's already been fixed twice.
And then the contractor, who is your point of contact for when something goes wrong, the average life cycle for a solar installer is
I would guess 5
18
years.
months.
Oh,
18 months.
Very nice.
Because they make their money and they go.
Yeah. They're like what do you call them?
The roofing people.
Foundation. Foundation people. We'll give you a lifetime warranty.
Do you think insurance likes solar? No. It's a value add to your property, so realtors like it, but it's
Yeah.
another point of failure for your insurance company. So you put
Protects
you
your
put
roof
solar
pretty
on your
good, though.
insurance. It
Protects
does.
the roof real nice.
And the thing is, if you get hail in an area, it does create micro fractures or micro fissures in your solar panels
Yeah.
that may prevent your solar panel from running at optimal. So it's kind of kick. The best solar panels on the market right now. Not looking for the cheap route. I just collected my settlement. Oh, easy. What is the name of the company? Solaria. Solaria.
Makes
is
solar
that.
sound like yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
telling
your
you, the truth.
muffler.
I'm not making money off of it anymore. So the best solar panels on Earth are Solaria because they're the only one that can have a 50% shadow rate and still work.
Yeah.
Mission Solar and RECs are two great ones.
Right
if
out
you're
of
looking
Texas,
for,
baby.
like,
Mission Solar.
Mission Solar had one of the coolest ads I've ever seen. They drove a Hummer over the solar panel and showed that it would hold up, but I guarantee you that panel didn't work after that.
Yeah.
It looked full, but there were micro fissures
Dude,
throughout.
they got some really big, beautiful panels too. Mission Solar looks pretty cool.
No, no problem, Joshua. Texas is an electrician state. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so Mission, Solaria is so popular, especially here in Missouri. They're so popular. They're very hard to get, but if you can get them, they are 1 million.
Renogy is like
best.
the cheapest, just garbage that is very available.
Yeah.
But I've got Renegys. They're garbage, but they work.
Yeah, if you're looking for a relatively inexpensive panel that still is very good, I would say Canadian Solar. And they have some very good panels that are relatively inexpensive.
How long has that been up for?
Q-Cell. Hunwalk Q-Cell also make
yeah.
very good panels that are relatively inexpensive. Climate
Yo, we gotta
control
get off of here.
properly, they actually have to be
We
put
gotta-
into a building to be.
We got to bounce. All right, so the new structure is gonna be we're gonna have to hold ourselves to this, like 30 to 45 minutes max on Tuesday, and we'll do a longer stream on Thursday. Hopefully not this long. Again, maybe an hour and 15. That's what we're shooting for. So we're shooting for shorter streams. Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. Don't get me talking about solar. It'll be longer.
Yeah, it's all good. He has to. I live like I live like 4 minutes from the office. So, how far are you from the office? Like an hour?
Hour 42 minutes.
When it's snowing and people are driving stupid.
2:18.
Yeah.
It was 2 hours and 18 minutes this morning.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, we got dual whiteboard action. Yeah, what more could you ask for? All right, we're out of here. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.
Don't forget.